Hello, my name is Michele, and you're listening to Profit is a Choice. Today's podcast is another solo episode. In it, we're going to talk about confidence, a really big topic and one that I think we can all say that is important as business owners, and certainly thinking about it as how confidence relates to our profitability. So as we jump in just a few minutes, we're going to talk about what is confidence. We're going to look at how our confidence can be shaken and exactly some of the things that we can do to restore that confidence or to build it up in the first place. Again, another not to be missed episode. Every day, empowered entrepreneurs are taking ownership of their company financial health and enjoying the rewards of reduced stress and more creativity. With my background as a financial software developer, owner of multiple businesses in the interior design industry, educator, and speaker, I coach women in the interior design industry to increase their profits, regain ownership of their bottom line, and to have fun again in their business. Welcome to Profit is a Choice. Okay, so today's all about confidence. We all desire it. We need it. We strive for it. And if you have been around the proverbial block, as they say, more than once, you know that it doesn't matter if you have 5, 10, or 50 jobs that went well. It's that one job that fell apart that shakes your confidence. And once it's shaken, it can really take some work to recover it. I've worked with many business owners over the years who come in and they tell me, I need confidence, Michele, I need confidence. And then I look at their work and their body of work is amazing. Their talent is off the charts. And I'm thinking to myself, why is somebody who has such beautiful work, great clients, why are you coming in saying that you need confidence? So we start digging in. And I start asking questions like, why do you feel that? Why do you feel like you need more confidence or that you need it in the first place when your work is so fantastic? And every time it's due to one of these types of things. Either a client lost trust with them due to something happening in the project. It could be a failure in communication, a string of broken or back-ordered items. It might be there was a pricing mistake or some type of mistake and it caused a blow up. Or, it could just be due to a crazy client. I mean, we all have really great clients the majority of the time, but it only takes one non-ideal, off-the-rails kind of client to push back on what we're either offering, our pricing, our communication, our process, whatever that might be. And then we start to doubt. Or it could have been that they posted something on social media and somebody made a negative comment. Any activity that made them second guess themselves and their ability caused a drop in confidence. And so they recognize that and their need is to have it restored. And if that confidence isn't quickly restored, it can drop further each day. Doubt has become a friend, and the mindset around that success and confidence and ability became very twisted. They literally doubt everything, even with 10, 15, 20 years behind them showing that they can do it. One instance of all things going wrong or enough going wrong literally shakes us to our core. And so we all deal with this at some point. Some of you who are listening right now are shaking your head by yourself. You're probably in your car or something or on your run. And you're like, oh my gosh, I have experienced this. I know what this is talking about. And if you haven't experienced it, I'm happy, but I'm going to tell you to go ahead and guard against it because it's coming. And the goal, like we discussed in that shame episode 5, is to recognize when the slip in confidence is happening and then try to get a hold of it quickly so that we don't go into this downward spiral. Because we know that the downward spiral will affect more than just our work. It starts to roll over into our relationships at home and relationships with our friends, right? And anything. So we have to catch this one early. So what I want to start with is talking about what is confidence? What is it? Let's define it. In most of my training and education, when we talk about a topic, I really like to jump in and define it first, because if not, we all may have differing ideas and opinions of what that word means. And so we're coming at it differently. So if we think about it, confidence is the belief that you can rely on something or someone. It is known to be a firm trust or a self-assurance arising from one's appreciation of one's own abilities or qualities. Now, I am not talking about being cocky, arrogant, or overstated importance, but it's a firm belief in your own ability. This can even be a quiet belief, but it's solid nonetheless. Notice the word that is the linchpin. Everything hinges on the word belief. I said that it was a belief in your own ability. Okay? What does belief mean? It means to accept something as true. So if we were to put these ideas and thoughts together, break it down even further, confidence is accepting as true your abilities and qualities. And I personally believe from my experience that confidence is built upon a belief that we have in 3 areas. The first is the belief in our own competence. The next is the belief in our ability to learn and to problem solve. And the third is our belief in our own intrinsic worth or value. And so we're going to take some time and look at each of these independently and in a little bit more detail. All right, so let's start with the belief in our own competence. Competence, not confidence, competence is the ability to do something successfully or efficiently. And so ask yourself, what is it that you really know? What things do you really know? Where do you feel like you have success or answers? Where do you feel like you know something so well that you could teach somebody else? This is where you are probably the most competent. It's a great exercise if your confidence is ever shaken, or even just to kind of warn against that, is to sit down and write on a sheet of paper all the things you think you're great at, all the things you think you do really, really well, that you feel comfortable in, and like I said earlier, that you want to teach or that you could teach. You don't have to teach, that you would be willing to, that you feel proficient enough in the work, competent enough in the work that you could share that with somebody else. Just writing that down and owning that is huge. Preparation is the key to confidence, and then that preparation leads to competence. So we have to prepare. By preparing, we become competent, and by that competence, we actually further engage and increase our confidence in whatever it is we're doing. This is kind of a journey, right? You don't just become confident because you wake up one day. And I think that is key, because sometimes we think that our confidence can be built overnight, and it rarely does that happen. For example, I wouldn't get on stage to teach or present a topic if I hadn't studied and prepared for it. That would just be, horrible. That would be public humiliation if I had to get up. I mean, it's hard enough if you were be at Toastmasters and they throw out a topic and you have to talk about it. And while I know that, I could talk about most things, I wouldn't do it in a way where I was an authority figure. So again, I'm not going to get up and try to teach if I'm not prepared. Consider your knowledge, experience, and skill set, your resources, and your support. The more you prepare, the more faith or belief that you'll have that you can do the task or the job before you. It's almost like this chicken and egg thing, right? Does confidence come first, or success? Or success comes before confidence? I believe you don't have to have 100% confidence to get started. And I think that's what holds us back sometimes, is we think, I've got to be 100% confident that I can do this or that I know this. And that's not true. What you really need is enough courage to begin, and then success starts and it builds. And this is also why it is important for us to recognize all types of successes, small, medium, and large, even micro. Repeated success validates our confidence. So the more we have success by trying and doing and preparing and trying and doing and preparing, the more our competence is built, and then the more our confidence is built. Success tells us that we're able, and it strengthens us and it rewards us. And again, I'm not just talking about big, huge successes, but even those micro and small successes. And so getting into the habit of celebrating every accomplishment instead of looking at what either didn't get done or how far away we are from the big goal, those things hurt us. If we can just realize that every little step is taking us closer to our goal, assuming that it is and that we're working that way, it's building the confidence that we can get there. Stringing along small, repeatable successes leads to competence and confidence. Some people are going to tell you to fake it until you make it. And I don't like that. I don't like it because if I'm telling myself to fake it until I make it, and I understand the sentiment, right? So don't send me a bunch of emails telling me that I got the sentiment wrong. I got it. I understand what it's trying to tell me to do. It's telling me to go ahead and to act like I have the confidence that I don't have. And I get it. And I do think there is some amount of, I used to tell my clients, put on your big girl panties and get it done. And now I've moved on to just put on your Spanx and let's go do it. Because sometimes you need a little bit more than the big girl panties, right? And so I understand that. But it also can put us into the mindset of being fakers if we're not careful. And many of us struggle with an imposter syndrome already, which makes us feel less than. And so this idea of faking it until we're making it just further enhances and perpetuates an imposter syndrome that is not going to support us later. So what I choose to live by is more of the motto, educate and try until you make it. And that gives me the ability to know that I've got the permission to try it, to fail, to succeed, and to grow from it. And then again, it's every stepping stone. And so, maybe try to replace fake it until you make it, until try and educate until you make it. I don't know, it may change the way you see things. Okay, the second belief is the belief in our ability to learn and to problem solve. This is having a growth mindset, which means always being a student, not having the belief that we have this fixed mindset, which means that we're as smart as we're ever going to be. It's really opening up our mind to say, I am always continuing to learn. I'm always continuing to get better. And I can use all of these different experiences and knowledge base to solve a problem. Skills can be acquired if that's what we want to work towards. And so we never stop learning. And if we do, our confidence is going to take a hit because everything is moving around us, right? Confidence is not perfection. It's not. And you don't have to be perfect to have confidence that you can do something. And so you have to learn to roll with the punches. If not, if your confidence is built on always getting everything perfect and exactly right, there will be nobody who ever is confident because nobody's ever perfect all the time. And so the first mistake shatters that whole idea. Because interestingly enough, adversity can also build confidence. And so by considering all the areas that we could fail in and then planning, educating, analyzing, making a path to go around it, over it, or through it, that builds confidence. Confidence that when the time comes, you are prepared. I sometimes think about what would happen if, what would happen if all the furniture came in damage? What would happen if everything went on back order? What would happen if my computer crashed? And then I'm making these plans. And that adversity or that thought of adversity builds a confidence in me that I can handle what's coming because I'm preparing and thinking about it and analyzing in advance. Our confidence gets shaken quickly if we made no plans and we're just seat of our pants everywhere. Sometimes that happens, but that shouldn't be the way that we're going through the entire processes and systems and procedures in our company. If we don't do things in a repeatable way, so every new client gets a completely new process, I can understand why you would have no confidence because you don't even have confidence in the process that you're using to deliver the final outcome or product or design or whatever that is. And so building systems is another thing that, that we're learning, we're problem solving. Now we can depend on the system and solve the problem. But if we're having to, we got the problem in the air and then we have no system to get to it, that causes a lot of shaky confidence. It causes sheer torture and fear. And I know that. And so again, build these systems, build these things, continue to learn, and then that releases you to be able to solve the problem. Knowing that we don't have to know everything and know it now, again, because we're always learning, it allows us to rest in what we do already know. And so with what we all do, we do every single day, our work is so very custom. There is no way that you're going to know everything all the time. I think that has been one of the, one of those, I guess, maybe light bulb moments for a lot of people, is we kind of think, okay, either I've got my design degree, or I've done X years of design or workroom or staging, fill in the blank of what you've done. And then all of a sudden something comes in and it's super challenging. We've not done it before. And so we start to get shaky. But here's the deal. Every single thing we do almost is custom in this industry. It is rare that we do this cookie cutter response to everything. And so when we make peace with the fact that trends change, our options change, and that this is a continued journey of learning, and knowing that we can always learn, that actually can build our confidence if we embrace the fact that nothing ever really stays the same. Having a support system can also boost your confidence. I know that if I don't have an answer, that I have a huge group of friends to help me in the industry. And so again, it's not the confidence that I always know the answer, it's the confidence that I can find the answer, the confidence that I have a support team, whether it's peers or vendors or coaches or educators or whatever. I've got people around, and so do you. There are, lots of places that we can find them in person at networking events. We can find them on Instagram. We can find them on Facebook. It's just finding that group that's going to come around you and answer those questions. I see you all doing that in the Facebook groups all the time. Somebody answering your question, somebody giving you a little bit of extra support, then gives you the confidence to turn around to go interact with your client or with your vendor to do whatever it is you need to do. And so, heck, Google. I've solved so many problems by going to Google and reading it, and that then builds my confidence to do the task that I need to do. And so it's rare that you're ever going to find anybody who achieves success completely alone. It does take a village. And so to build confidence in yourself, you need to be confident in the team that you are assembling. And that's your family, your mentors, your friends, colleagues, coaches, accountability partners, children, all of it. One of the exercises that I do when I'm faced with a new or a difficult opportunity is this. I'm going to tell you how to do it. You get a piece of paper and you draw a line down the center vertically. And on the left side, I kind of caption it at the top, what I know. And on the right side, I caption in the top of that column, what I don't know. And then as I'm thinking about the project or the opportunity or whatever, I start writing down, here's what I know about the project. And I just list everything that I know about it on the left-hand side, where I feel confident, where I have the answers. And then what I do is on the right-hand side, I write down everything I don't know. Where are all the open-ended kind of things? Where do I have question marks about this? Where do I feel shaky? The great thing about doing this and literally writing it on paper, or you can type it if that's better for you, is it gets it out of your brain. It gets it out of your head. And it takes it and puts it into something that I can analyze separate from myself. Because if I keep it inside my head, I know, and it probably is the same for you, that the doubt grows faster than the confidence. So that what I don't know list tends to get so much larger in my brain and take up so much more space than being really grounded in what I do know. So when I've written it down, it starts to show me where I'm already confident, which is the what I know column, and where I have an opportunity to build confidence, which is the what I don't know. My next step is to take that right-hand column for what I don't know, and I start listing everything there that I need. What are the resources that I need? Are there any people that I know that I need? Do I need to talk to a vendor? Do I need to take a course? Do I need a piece of software? What do I need? And so again, it just becomes this analysis that actually builds my confidence because I know what I know. I now have a good idea of what I don't know. And now I'm making a plan to solve that problem first. Every single time, it has been amazing to me how much that has helped to provide clarity and focus and to sustain my confidence at a time that could cause it to become shaky. And then I start to build my team and to create even more confidence in the ultimate solution that I'm going to provide to my client or in the steps that I'm going to take for my own company. The third belief that builds and supports our confidence is understanding our own worth and value. And we have to ask ourselves, what is our own personal value based upon? Not our values, our intrinsic value. Do we consider ourselves valuable to society based on our successes? Is it based on our current weight? Do we base it on money, looks, or social media likes and shares? Like, what is it that we are basing the fact that we are valuable upon? All of those things I just mentioned, success, weight, money, looks, social media, whatever that is, right? Every one of those things can go away and leave us behind at any time because every one of those things are temporal. And so we have to see ourselves differently. We have to see ourselves as worthy and valued because we were born, because we were created, because we're here, because we matter. Everybody has a place and an intrinsic value because none of us are here by accident. We are human and we were born with gifts and talents and abilities, and we need to value that. Each of you is worthy of success and accomplishment. It's not going to come to you with no effort, but you are worthy of doing the hard work, and you're worthy of being paid what you're worth, and you are worthy and valuable to this world. And that should build our confidence. We each have two recordings in our head, right? The one supporting our efforts and then one tearing us down. Here's the deal. We get to write the narrative. We get to write the story the same way that I get to sit down and determine who's going to be on my podcast, what I'm going to write in my blog, what I'm going to put in my newsletter. I get the choice of what I tell myself. What story am I telling myself, repeating to myself, and creating for my future? And you have that same ability because we are the authors, not just the reader. We get to create the plot, the characters, the twist, the turns, the successes, and the final outcome. It is up to us to write our story. There's this American Indian tale. I'm sure many of you have heard it before. It's a tale of two wolves. And the shortened, condensed version is this grandfather is telling his grandson, he says, hey, we each have two wolves that live inside of us. One is fighting for our good, leading us on a path that's positive. The other wolf is fighting for our bad, for our detriment. He is taking us down this path of negativity, and they are at war with each other. And the young boy turns and asks the grandfather, who wins this war? And the grandfather gently answers him, whichever wolf you feed the most. And so we have to ask ourselves, which wolf are we feeding? The one that leads us into a positive, good, and encouraging path, a way to grow in all things that we want? Or are we feeding the one who diminishes, defeats, and destroys us from within? Because our thoughts matter. Every thought matters, and all of it impacts our profitability. Here are some practical ways I want to share with you to write your story of success and confidence, because I know that once you capture this information and you bring it into your awareness, you're going to want to feed the good wolf. I just know that you are, right? But it's not going to be done by accident. It has to be done, like everything else, by choice. So here are some things that you can do, very practical steps. The first is choose to be around positive people who have a positive message. I can always tell who my kids have been hanging around based on the way they respond to things. I can tell if somebody's been hanging out with a group of other people because they start to carry on the same characteristics of speech. And we do that too. And so it is important that we're around positive people with positive messages, because the more we're around it, the more we become it. The second thing is to practice positive affirmations daily. Sometimes you might have to do that moment by moment by moment. Sometimes saying those affirmations once will not get you through the day. And so I have some for different challenges in my life. or different areas that I want to enhance or to be reminded of, I write down affirmations. Some of them might be quotes that people said that resonated with me. For me personally, a lot of mine are very scripture-based, because that just encourages me and lifts me up. It might be lyrics in a song that support you and move you forward. But write down these positive affirmations and continue to read them, because the more you read them, the more they soak into your mind, the more you feed the good wolf, the more it builds your confidence. The third thing is to practice meditation, prayer, relaxation. I know for me, every morning, spending time in prayer and personally reading my Bible, those kinds of things put me in a much different place than the mornings that I get up and rush in and just start doing work. One of my favorite books to create a program for yourself is The Miracle Morning, and I will link that in the show notes. But it was a game changer for me, is getting up and realizing, what do I need to start my day that puts me mentally in a position of confidence, relaxation, just in a good place. If I were to get up and go check my emails prior to doing that, I'm not always as grounded and centered and kind and generous when I respond. I can find myself being more snippy than I would if I'd just gotten through, relaxing or journaling or working out and reading my Bible or prayer, meditation, whatever it is, yoga, whatever it is you're doing. Put those things where they really matter. Make sure that you start your day with at least some part of that, so that you don't have your feet hit the floor out of bed and you're automatically in a rat race. That just leads you down this go, 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 go path, and then it can move into the negative mindset. A fourth thing is to strive to have good emotional control. The more that we are around positive people, the more that we have positive affirmations. I'm not talking Pollyanna here, right? I'm talking just positive. The more we practice these prayer and meditation, and the more we do that, the more we're going to have good emotional control, because we are going to be able to separate ourselves from what is happening and not think it's all about us, which then feeds all that negative story building that's going on in our brain. And then lastly, and we'll talk about this again in just a minute, is strengthen your positive body language. There's a lot of great information about body language and leaning forward and power poses and all of that. They really do make a big difference in how we respond and how we act and how we think and how we feel. I'll tell you even just another thing that, and I didn't have this on my initial list to tell you, but the way that I dress impacts my confidence. And so I know that there are certain things when I'm going to go up on stage or I have to do a big presentation. For me personally, my confidence is built if I know that what I have on makes me feel confident. I usually want a little bit of a heel. It just goes all the way back to my days in corporate where you were in full suits and high heels. A little bit of a heel. I need to feel cute. I need to feel like I'm having a good hair day. All of those things shore you up. You take somebody who feels like they've got a bad hair day, they feel yucky in their clothes, their feet hurt, and you tell them to go up on stage and to exude confidence, and they will struggle. We all struggle. So find those outfits, find those things that you can put on. Maybe it's having your nails done. Maybe it's having your hair done. Whatever it is, I'm not saying you got to do it every day, because I am just as happy in a ball cap and a ponytail. You can ask my coaching clients. I show up coaching them in a ball cap and ponytails and yoga clothes, because we're working from home sometimes, and that's okay. But if I'm going to show up on a stage, or I'm going to show up with my client at an event, and we're going to be in a place where it matters, I'm going to think about how my clothes and how my body language impacts how I feel about myself, which then impacts the confidence in what I have to say and in my surroundings. So don't miss that piece, okay? So if we were to recap all of this, I know it's a lot of information, but if we were to recap it, confidence is accepting as true belief, right? Confidence is accepting as true your abilities and qualities. And it can be found in 3 areas: belief in your own competence, belief in your ability to learn and problem solve, to have this team with a growth mindset, and belief in your own intrinsic worth or value. So I also want to take a second and hit on something that some of us may struggle with. You may be thinking, this whole confidence thing might work for you, but I just don't feel like I fit in. Or maybe you have feelings of inadequacy. I've just started, I don't know enough, haven't been in this industry long. Or maybe you even have chronic self-doubt and anxiety despite your abilities. All of your hard work points to success, but your internal dialogue says that you're an imposter. Yep, we're going to talk about it for just a second. The good old imposter syndrome. It is really a big deal, and it's talked about a lot in circles and among women primarily. Men can have it too, but it's pervasive among the female population. And it's in all circles and at all levels by professionals, and usually the ones that are at the top of their game. So let me take a minute and say this about the imposter syndrome. It leads to anxiety. It robs us of mental strength, and it creates self-limiting beliefs that then become our reality because we're focused on feeding the bad wolf. And when we do that, those self-limiting beliefs become the belief that we believe is true, and now we act on what we believe is true. This is why, again, going all the way back, if you've heard me talk about it in any way, shape, or form, knowing your why is so important because it's based on a belief system. And all of our actions are an outpouring, a physical outpouring of what we believe. And so confidence is believing that you know what you know, that you can do what you can do, and that you have the resources to help you if you get stuck, that you can learn. That's what confidence is. Confidence isn't saying, I know everything, I know it perfectly, and I can execute it without error every single time. That's not it. In the words of Kevin O'Leary of Shark Tank, which I love, we got to stop the madness. And so here are 5 ways that you can rid yourself of the imposter syndrome. We've already talked about how to gain more confidence. Now here's how you can get rid of the imposter syndrome. They're similar, so grab a pen and paper if you don't already have one. You can always back up, listen again. But here we go. Number 1, acknowledge your strengths. Know your strengths. Again, I love Strengths Finder from Gallup. That's a huge one. But even more than that, what is it that you're great at? Kind of back to that 2-page document that I mentioned to you. What do I know? What do I don't know? Focus on the what you know. Be able to share what you're great at. The second thing, share your passion with others. I met with a young man recently who's looking at starting his own company, and me sharing my passion with him, they were in very close alignment. It encouraged me by encouraging him. And so the more you share your passion with others, the more you actually realize what you know. It is so easy to almost assume that everybody knows what we know, and that's not the case. I remember one time telling somebody, I really wish I could teach, but I don't know what I know, or I don't know anything that everybody else doesn't know. And she looked at me like I had just sprouted an extra head. And she's like, you've got to be kidding me. Michele, a lot of people don't know, A, B, and C, profitability, finance. They don't know that. And here I was assuming that other people knew what I did. And I know that many of you have done that as well. So number 1 was acknowledge your strength. Number 2 is share your passion with others. And number 3 is not an easy one, but it's something that you have to do. Address your self-doubt. Recognize it, write it down, deal with it. Show yourself some compassion. Learn to treat yourself the way that you would treat your best friend, or the way that your best friend would treat you. We are so harsh on ourselves. We don't even give ourselves a chance to be confident. We knock down the bricks that we're building of confidence on our own. It's not necessarily other people knocking it down. We do it to ourselves quite often. And so if we can address what is causing or creating this self-doubt, we can remove doubt and replace it with confidence. The 4th thing, give yourself permission to play, to try, to fail, to miss the mark. We are so worried about getting it right the first time. We are so worried about not messing up. We are so worried about being perfectionists that it's a wonder that anybody has confidence. The ones who have it, they got it because they kept trying. They kept trying, and they built and they built and they built. It just didn't show up overnight. And I'm speaking to myself as much as I'm speaking to you, because nobody likes to fail. Nobody likes to screw up. None of us. It does not make us feel fantastic unless we reframe it. And so I am inviting you today to reframe this, to give yourself permission to just try to see what happens. Try it just to find out if you like it. It's okay if you miss the mark. We're all going to miss the mark sometimes. The deal is we learn from that and we change the next time. Doing the same thing over and over the exact same way, yeah, that's insanity. But doing the same thing over and over and over and tweaking in the process, that's learning. And then number 5, another hard one, accept compliments with grace. When somebody tells you that you're so great at something, or, oh, Michele, I love when you do this, or you're so good at that, for some of us, an immediate response is to play it down and to act like it doesn't matter, because we don't know how to take the compliment. And so we're like, oh, no, it's nothing. Oh, it's no big deal. A simple thank you goes so much further, and it doesn't feed the negative wolf, that nasty wolf that's trying to minimize and diminish what we're doing. It's not cocky. It's a simple thank you so much, or thank you for that, for those kind words. Thank you for recognizing that. Wow, thanks so much. I've worked so hard at that. Those are things that build your confidence. I'm going to go over these really quickly one more time, because I think they're important, just to solidify this thought process of stopping the madness of the imposter syndrome. 1, acknowledge your strengths. 2, share your passion with others. 3, address self-doubt, deal with it, show yourself some compassion. 4, give yourself permission to play, to try, to fail, and to miss the mark. And number 5, accept compliments with grace. I mentioned to you earlier when we were talking about the physical aspect of building confidence that one of those could be in body language. And Amy Cuddy is a social psychologist, and she gave a TED Talk on power up poses, and I'll make sure that that is in the show notes. But she shared how different power poses reduce cortisol and have an effect on our hormones. And in that process, it creates confidence. She's also not a proponent of fake it until you make it, but she says fake it until you become it, meaning use body language to show that you're confident even before you feel confident. And then your feelings will follow it. She uses, and if you watch the TED Talk, she uses the Wonder Woman pose to do that. And you all visually, in your mind, probably have this idea of the Wonder Woman pose. And so if you think about it, you're going to stand up, you put your hands on your hips, you hold your head high, your core is engaged, your feet are apart, and you're just looking out, into the horizon with strength. And that's the way we see Wonder Woman posing. And she asks you to stand up and do it for 2 minutes before you have to go do something that you need a boost of confidence. That, of course, she says, I do it in private. You're not going to stand up in the middle of a boardroom and do a Wonder Woman pose. However, I have been known to do that Wonder Woman pose when I'm leading a group of over 250 people, and they all stood up and did it and came back and told me that, yes, what Amy suggested really, really does work. But you can do it. You can stop and go to the bathroom. Let's say you're in the middle of a heated negotiation and you're starting to feel your confidence waning. You can ask for a break, go to the bathroom, shut the door, and do a pose for 2 minutes. Build your confidence, release those endorphins, get that cortisol kicking in, and then go back out there and finish up. So again, breathe, visualize the outcome you want, go over your notes, put yourself on the path of success. Feed the good wolf. Consider that you've prepared, you're ready, and that you own it. And then go out and do the work. Again, I'll have the TED Talk in the show notes. It is so worth the watch. You got to watch it. And so my challenge to you, out of all of this is to own your confidence and own it now. Like I always say to you, what you own, you can change. So own your confidence. Prepare now. Practice doesn't make perfect. I just don't believe that that's true. I'm just like blowing out of the water all these sayings, right? Telling you I don't agree with them. And sometimes some of you may think that, I'm crazy. And some of you are going to be shaking your heads going, yeah. And that's one of it actually, the sayings that are meant to maybe sometimes encourage us are the ones that sometimes lead us to feed the bad wolf. And so you have to find out what works for you. But I don't believe that practice makes perfect, because I've done things that I have practiced and practiced and practiced and still not been perfect at. But I do believe that practice leads to precision, and practice leads to being better, and practice leads to possibilities. And I believe practice builds confidence, and that's okay for me. If any of this resonates with you, if you are interested in building your confidence, if you want a good shot in the arm, that's what I'm told I do all the time, is give you a good shot in the arm of confidence. I'll tell people that I can replace your spine with steel. If that's what you want, you can join me and others that are working on building their confidence in the Designer's Inner Circle. I am happy to guide you to building a confidence that won't be easily shaken. To create support in your business and a life to help you move forward, even if you've been knocked around. That's what I love doing. Business does not operate without hurdles and challenges somewhere. You've either just come out of one, or you're going into one, or hopefully you're preparing for when it shows up. Let me help you, and let's work together to build the confidence muscle that you need. You can get more information at scarlettthreadconsulting.com under services. You'll be able to see the Designer's Inner Circle, because confidence leads to profitability, and that doesn't happen by accident.